Good evening, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, evening headlines on November 1, 2022. Supreme Court Justice Roberts grants Trump temporary stay in tax returns case, live. The Independent, U.S. midterms 2022, Supreme Court delays release of Trump tax returns. BBC, U.S. top judge temporarily halts push to obtain Trump's tax records. Al Jazeera English, Supreme Court temporarily blocks House from getting Trump tax returns. Russia-Ukraine war live. Kyiv residents queue for water as mayor says strikes cut power to 270,000 homes. The Guardian, Ukraine war, Kyiv locals queue for water after Russian strikes. BBC, massive Russian missile strikes hit power and water supply across Ukraine, BBC News. BBC News, Russia says hit key Ukrainian energy infrastructure in new strikes. The Moscow Times, Ukraine war, Kyiv locals queue for water amid heavy barrage of Russian missile and drone strikes. Israelis head to polls as Netanyahu seeks re-election with far-right allies. The Guardian, Israel election, Netanyahu seeks comeback as country votes. BBC, Israel election tightly poised as Netanyahu bids for comeback, France 24 English. France 24 English, Israel election, what could happen? Reuters.com, the Irish Times view on the Israeli election, heading for a close finish, the Irish Times. Russia extends evacuation zone in Ukraine's Kherson region. Reuters.com, thousands more to be evacuated from Ukraine's Kherson. The Moscow Times, residents describe horrors of Russia's occupation of Kherson. Voice of America, VOA News, Ukraine war news, Russia expands call for civilians to relocate in south. The New York Times, Russia announces wider evacuation of southern Ukraine. Brazil judge orders police to clear roadblocks by pro-Bolsonaro truckers. The Guardian, Brazil's Supreme Court orders removal of pro-Bolsonaro roadblocks. Al Jazeera English, Brazilian court orders roadblocks cleared, Bolsonaro silent on election loss. France 24 English, allegations of roadblocks by highway police spark fears of voter suppression in Brazil. The Irish Times, Brazil awaits Bolsonaro comment on election as top court orders end to trucker blockades. Morbi bridge collapse, India PM Modi visits site. BBC, Morbi bridge collapse, no political interference will be allowed, says PM Modi, latest news. CNN News 18, video shows moment of India bridge collapse that killed more than 130. CBS News, caught small fishes, crocodiles went scot-free, Jagdish Thakur alleges nexus involving union minister responsible for Morbi bridge collapse. The Indian Express, double engine failure, there must be full accountability for the Morbi bridge tragedy in Gujarat. Shanghai Disney Resort visitors told to stay at home after single COVID case prompts lockdown of theme park. Sky News, Shanghai Disney live, coronavirus news, tourists leave Shanghai Disney in China after lockdown. CNN News 18, visitors trapped in Shanghai's Disney Resort after lockdown announced. The Guardian, Shanghai Disney, visitors unable to leave without negative COVID test as park shuts. BBC, Shanghai officials rush to trace Disneyland visitors after guest tests positive for COVID. South Korea Halloween crush, police admit response was inadequate. BBC, crowd crushes, how disasters like Itaewon happen, how can they be prevented, and the stampede myth. The Guardian, Itaewon crush, first emergency call came hours before crush. BBC, Seoul Halloween crowd crush is test for South Korea's Yoon Suk-yeol. Bloomberg, Seoul mayor makes tearful apology over Halloween crush. Ukraine faces winter humanitarian crisis with energy grid on the brink. Italy's right-wing government to criminalize raves. BBC, Italy to ban illegal raves following Modena party. DW, English, Giorgia Meloni gets tough on crime, starting with 4,000 illegal ravers in northern Italy. The Times, the party's over for illegal raves, Italy's new government says. Reuters.com, the party's over for illegal raves, Italy's new government says. Finland and Sweden call on Hungary and Turkey to ratify NATO applications. The Guardian, Turkey blasts Sweden ahead of NATO chief's visit to appease Erdogan. Al Monitor, wider Europe briefing, Sweden and Finland's potential NATO spoilers, ways the EU could expand sanctions on Russia. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Turkey holds off on Sweden's NATO bid ahead of Stoltenberg visit. Bloomberg, Finland urges Turkey, Hungary to swiftly approve Swedish, Finnish NATO bids. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.